Hi everyone, Meteorologist Emery here in the Fox 19 First Alert Streaming Center for our Sunday edition of our 19 at 10:15 weekend morning weather show. Available wherever you stream, including on YouTube, the Fox 19 News and First Alert Weather app, fox19.com, the 24/7 weather streaming channel, Roku, Hulu, and of course on Facebook. Wherever you have any questions or comments, you can chime in there on the Fox 19 Facebook page, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have about this First Alert forecast. Now, I will say that today is kind of a gloomy day, and it's because of this area of low pressure. We talked about it more in depth yesterday. I'm not going to go on as long as I did yesterday about it, but when you have what we call occluding lows, it's when the warm or the cold front, this is essentially, it's a little more, there are some other things that are components that go into this, but essentially, you know, the cold fronts and warm fronts we talk about. Well, this is a cold front that has caught up to the warm front, and the low pressure begins to weaken. That's called an occluding low. And occluding lows tend to give you kind of dreary weather. What ends up happening is you get all this moisture wrapped around, and you just get a lot of cloud cover, mild temperatures, and you get these either areas of drizzle, you get on and off rain showers, and in some of those lines of where the fronts were or areas of troughs or, you know, a dip in pressure, you sometimes get thunderstorms. We will see a little bit of all components today in this First Alert forecast. So without going any further, or without further ado, I should say, let's give you that forecast first. Today, tonight, tomorrow, and the 7-day forecast. So let's dive into it right now, because we are looking at today to be another cool day. Yesterday we had a high of 62. Today I've only got 57 because of the cloud cover, because of the rain. And as you can see there, periods of rain. Temperatures will be around 57 degrees by 5 o'clock. Overnight tonight, the low is 47. Cloudy skies, got some rain. And then tomorrow, more cloud cover, more rain, a tad warmer, up to 58 degrees. And the 7-day forecast, I mean, it does get better. But we got to deal with the next couple of days where it's just gloomy. 57 again today, 58 tomorrow, but we warm up to 67 by Tuesday. And then we get into the 70s for the middle and latter half of the week going into Mother's Day weekend. And Saturday with FC Cincinnati, I believe they're back in town that day. I should have double-checked the schedule. I just now realized that. Anyway, we do have that in store, and much warmer weather is on the way. So that is nice to see. Anyway, that's 7-day forecast. Let's go ahead and dive on into what we are dealing with right now. And that is this gloomy weather, cloudy skies, cool conditions. And we're going to start with our Newport levee camera. Our rooftop camera is currently down right now. Unfortunately, it would have been great to see the Flying Pig Marathon from that view, but you can only do with what you got. And what we got right now on our Newport levee camera, again, low clouds out there. You get this this mist coming down in spots. You can see where that light rain is just to the north and west, the ballpark, and of the banks. But still, you got some drizzle associated with this, and again, low clouds. It's just dreary. I don't know how else better to describe it than that. And then we switch it over to our Turfway Park view. Again, drizzle, cloud cover, dreary. If you got better terms to say other than dreary, let me know, because I don't know how else you want to describe this kind of weather. 49, that's the temperature over at CVG, which that temperature measurement is just behind that tree line. And this actually looks like a little shower because you can't even see, you can barely see the control tower. That's right here. You probably have better eyes than I do from the camera angle with the color contrast, but it's right there. That's the control tower over at CVG. This is a tower camera, and again, low clouds. This tower's a couple hundred feet up. It has to look through part of the cloud cover in order to see downtown. If I were to move it and get it closer to where the tower is, it would be fine. So this isn't fog, it's just low clouds. And then also, too, our Mount Auburn camera. Again, drizzle out there, light rain, and the camera lens is pretty much soaked at this point. You can barely even see I-71 or McMillan from this vantage point. And then one last look at our Clovernut Country Club camera. No one's going to be on the golf course today, no doubt about that, because it's just too wet. It's going to remain too wet for us this afternoon. So what we've got is, again, that's that area of low pressure, and the location of it and the fact that it's occluding or weakening, beginning to weaken, it is giving us this rain from a different area than usual. So normally when you think of rain moving in or storms moving in, you think of it moving from west to east or from southwest to northeast. Every once in a while, sometimes you get a nor'easter. You get sometimes where the rain comes in from northeast to southwest. But this is coming in from the southeast to the northwest. I'll put it in motion here in a moment. But I do want to show you the areas that are dealing with some of this mist and light rain right now. And I also want to show you the fact that radar has a hard time detecting some of this rain. Because you zoom in and you saw the cameras, it's mist, it's rain. But I have it on CVG radar. That's the closest radar to downtown. And there's just not much showing up. You got these couple of green little specks here and there. And if you've watched me long enough on these streaming weather shows, we talk about what that property is, that component. Radar is a tool, just like model data is a tool, just like satellite data is a tool. It'll never be 100%. Now, you can use it and it gives you strong signals for things. Like when you look at clouds, the color of these clouds, they're darker. That's a good indicator of them being lower clouds. The shade of color on satellite is a good indicator of the temperature of the top of the cloud. So these are low clouds. So the top of the cloud's kind of warm, but you get these brighter clouds here. That means these clouds are a little bit higher, a little bit taller. And that brighter color is also an indicator of colder conditions above those clouds because it's higher elevation. Anyway, point is, all these are good tools, but they're not 100% sometimes. And radar is an example. Sometimes you can't see everything because that radar beam only goes out in one direction from the surface, and then eventually it goes to this point where you're looking above the cloud and it doesn't work anymore, at least for an atmospheric weather prediction scenario. But we have what's called composite radar. That's what this tool is on radar and satellite, and it helps a little bit. It kind of gives you some indicators. And this is what you see on the First Alert weather app or any other weather app that has composite radar or radar, unless you're using Radar Scope or Radar Omega. If you're not using those two things, you're seeing this. And oftentimes in the summertime, you'll see these little green dots and you're like, it's not raining over my house. Why is it showing rain? Again, it's a tool. And this tool is good in this situation because the radar can't see the rain, the clouds are there, and it is raining. It's mist or drizzle or light rain. These little green dots here are indicators of that. It can't detect all of it, but it can detect some of it, and that's what's happening right now. So almost much of the tri-state dealing with some form of drizzle, mist, sprinkles, or light rain in some capacity, according to this radar and satellite view. Keeping things soggy out there. There are some dry spots. It looks like it's a little dry over towards New Richmond, Amelia area. And then maybe perhaps over towards Oxford. Maybe a little bit drier there, maybe, just based on this alone. But that's what's happening on radar and satellite from this zoomed in view. As we zoom this out, we talked about it again a lot in depth yesterday, that low pressure. It's kind of spun around itself. And it's weakening. But do note the heaviest of rain, what we saw yesterday, it's up here. And it's going to miss us. We're not going to be dealing with that anymore. But there's those thicker clouds, those higher cloud tops. That means they're going to probably get some thunderstorm development there probably later today. We might see some thunderstorm development too this afternoon because we got this here. We got some southwest flow beginning to pull in some moisture, pull in some heat, so to speak, which will enable pop-up chances. And any of those pop-ups could bring in a good downpour. But this is kind of the setup of what we're dealing with. And when you have a low pressure like this, it doesn't have a lot of movement, it doesn't have a lot of initiative to go anywhere. It tends to give you all these gloomy days like this. And again, there's more into this. I'm sure if you are on social media, you probably have seen kind of the memes that have come out of it. But you have what's called an omega block pattern higher up in the atmosphere. And it looks like the Greek letter omega. And I'll just draw it real quick since we're on here. So an omega pattern looks at the upper levels of the atmosphere because that plays an influence on the forecast. So what we've got here is you've got a trough or kind of lower pressure or lower heights of the atmosphere. And then you got this. And I will say, let me erase that part real quick. Let's do this again. So it's kind of like this. You've got that, you got that, and you got that. So this is the low pressure, upper level of the atmosphere, and you got surface low. That's kind of initiation of weakening. But you got this big area of high pressure right here. And what's happening is this high pressure is blossoming. It's going to cut off these two areas of low pressure. And so there's really no forcing, no movement to get this low out of here. That's why it's going to be here until Tuesday, really. That's why Tuesday has that chance of rain moving in. So that's what we've got going on here, if you were curious. And I said I wouldn't talk a whole lot, but here I am. I can't help it. What am I going to do after May 11th? Okay, let's move on here to the first alert forecast model data. And model data, again, another good tool, not 100%. But this model has been pretty good at pointing out where the drizzle is. These little green dots. It's not the best, but it's pointing them out. So we know that the model data is showing that. So going to this afternoon, noon, again, areas of drizzle, light rain showing up. But notice over towards Adams County, that's West Union, you see there on the right side of the map, 57 degrees is what it says for noon. That little cell there is going to fire off, and it may not be exactly in that location, but this area here is going to see the best opportunity for that initial storm cell fire up. Not severe, but it could bring in a good downpour. Anytime you see on the maps light green to red in a short distance, it's always a good indicator of a good downpour. In addition, any cell that does fire up not only has downpour threat, but also hail threat, small hail. And then also to thunder and lightning, as in any thunderstorm. So that's what we got going on around 12:30. We go into 1, 2 o'clock. We do have, again, these waves of rain, drizzle, still continuing. We play it out, 4, 5 o'clock. We still got some rain chances moving in. And do note there are a couple of cells further off to the south, thunderstorms, southern Grant, Owen, Pendleton, Robertson, Bracken, Mason counties. Even Middletown's got a thunderstorm cell at this afternoon around 5 o'clock on this model. Then we play it out, and you can see with the beginning of loss of daytime heating, they begin to kind of fall apart. But still downpour, still hail threat and lightning showing up. So we got these isolated thunderstorms developing this afternoon with that daytime heating. Otherwise, rain, low clouds. And you might ask yourself, well, Ethan, you just said that this low pressure is weakening. It's not moving. It's been cloudy and gloomy and dreary. Well, it still has energy with it. And it's kind of, the energy within this low pressure is wrapping around itself. And we're going to be caught in one of those belts of energy. And that's what's going to give us this thunderstorm chance this afternoon and evening. Again, it's isolated. Not everyone's going to see it. Some will just stay cloudy and dreary. Others will be cloudy and dreary for a little bit. Then they'll get those thunderstorms popping up. And then going into tonight, we just got some lingering scattered showers, which will continue into Monday morning, just on and off. And then we'll go ahead and play this real quick. Once it loads, there we go. So this is a model, and it's going to show you Monday we've got rain chances overhead. We go into Tuesday, rain chances also over us. Then by Wednesday, we dry out. Although Wednesday evening we could possibly see a chance of rain to our south and to our west. And then we go into Thursday. Thursday we do have a chance of rain too. You have this frontal boundary, this line of showers that'll fire up with it. Where this line is, not 100% certain, because the model data yesterday had it up here. Now it's further south. So that's encouraging, but still, we could be looking at some rain chance in some capacity on Thursday. And at this point, does not look severe. We do not have any severe weather on the table for the next several days. So we're good on that front. But I do want to show you Friday. We got some sunshine. And it does look dry Friday, Saturday, and then going into Mother's Day Sunday. Now don't be alarmed by that. That is going to stay off to the north and northeast. But Monday, this is something I haven't put on the 7-day yet. But Monday and Tuesday, following Mother's Day, there's a chance of maybe some pop-up showers, maybe rumble of thunder. But most of that activity stays to the east and northeast, but we do have that small chance over to our eastern locations come next Monday, not tomorrow, next Monday. But otherwise, though, we just got to deal with this low pressure. Once it moves out, then we've got warmer weather moving in Thursday, Friday, into Mother's Day weekend. So here is that 7-day forecast, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But let's go take a look at our Facebook comments and questions first. Angel asking, are there any chances of a tornado today? No. We could see I don't even think we're going to see that. I think today is just going to be one of those scenarios where it's gloomy, it's just wet, on and off with drizzle or light rain, or we could also see some small hail and a few thunderstorms. But no, Angel, we're okay. Darla says, good morning. Hope you're having a great morning and good weekend. Thank you, Darla. Appreciate it. And then Brenda says, good morning. Tired of the rain. Yeah, I think a lot of us are tired of the rain. But good news is, at least for the Mother's Day weekend, it does look dry and warm too. So we got that going for us. So here's that 7-day forecast. 57 Sunday, 58 Monday, 67 on Tuesday. Then we're in the 70s Wednesday through Saturday as things begin to dry out. And I will say, beyond the 7-day forecast, if you're curious, Mother's Day's high is 77. Looking really good. And like I said, the 12th and 13th, there might be a pop-up chance of rain somewhere in here. But it does not look like anything substantial at this time. But it will get a little more humid, because do note the low temperatures are warming up. And when you got warmer lows, that usually means you're going to get some humidity accompanying that. So we are going to be looking at kind of a late spring, maybe early summer taste mid-May. So we've got that in the first alert forecast. The comments are pretty inactive on the Facebook page here, so I'm going to hop off here. Also, I got to update the Reds, I believe, here soon. I got a phone call. I'm going to have to answer that here in a minute. But at this point, with the First Alert forecast, you can get that anywhere. The First Alert weather app, fox19.com/weather, the 24/7 weather streaming channel. We got you covered on radio. I updated Star 93.3 earlier. You can hear that all day. But Meteorologist International's got you covered beginning at 6 for 19 at 6, and then also, too, has you covered tonight at 10 o'clock right here on Fox 19. So thank you so much for joining us. Have yourself a splendid Sunday despite the rain. Hope you can stay dry in some capacity. Have yourself a great Sunday.